Do you know what legacy means?
It's what you pass down to your children and your children's children. It's what remains of you when you're gone.
Now we're going to shift gears, and this is going to be entirely about what's going on in King's Landing, what's going on in the Red Keep, what is taking place behind closed doors and in certain closed bed chambers, and who is plotting and who is reacting. There were several knee-jerk reactions that took place, but then there were also several plots that were meant to be for the long term and probably didn't turn out that way. So I think it was very fascinating to see what Otto had in mind for the long game, and how in the front end of the episode everybody kind of plays along, but by the end of the episode everybody's kind of just doing their own thing and going with their own plans and ideas, and it just does not go very well. So the evolution of their grief over the course of this episode manifests in so many different ways, and it was really, really interesting to see.
Yeah, probably someone we're going to talk about at length as this season goes, it feels like. I thought the actor who played Aegon again was just phenomenal. I thought he came across incredibly strong in the episode, pun intended. And, I felt what he was going through to some extent. Like, he's getting torn in different ways, and like, hey, say what you want about him and the shit that he did in season 1, but I get, wanting to be out for blood for your kid. And, obviously Otto early on has a way he wants to go about things, and they're all trying to calm him down, and he's just kind of like, fuck this. And ultimately, he sort of tries to lean on his mother to, come to his aid, and she takes Otto's side essentially, and for right or wrong. And I thought that scene was very powerful, very well done, and obviously led to the reintroduction of Larys, who, in all his creepiness, let us know that essentially they'd caught one of them, and the head was in the bag, and just a wild beginning, man, followed up by a funeral procession that I believe you and I had seen some screenshots for.
Yeah, we had. But I do think that at one point we saw bits from this funeral procession that looked like something else was going to be a part of this funeral.
I think that's still to come.
And it wasn't. So I think there is still another procession that is still to come that may be even grander than this one that took place. But it's interesting because Otto proposes a public funeral saying that Jaehaerys is going to do more for their cause now than he would in 1,000 nights of battle. And it's so potent and powerful, but also so goddamn creepy that he's looking at the death of a 4-year-old as like a political gambit that can curry favor with the lords by parading him around the common folk. Like, that is extremely macabre. And I understand why Alicent and Helena were against the idea, because I would probably be against it too. Like, I'm the type of person that wants to handle things quietly and privately. And Aegon does that with blood, and it looks freaking awesome. Like, I know it's just one blow and then they cut scene away, but the fact that the king is getting his hands dirty like that is something that we really had not seen much of in either show up to this point. But it almost goes all the way back to Ned Stark in episode 1, the very first pilot. The man who passes the sentence should swing the sword. But he's not doing it out of justice. He's doing it out of vengeance all while the womenfolk are out in the processional crying over the loss of the babe. Like, the juxtaposition between those two is just stellar storytelling.
Yeah, no, it's so well done, and like visually speaking, the funeral was just something else altogether. And I love whenever we're getting King's Landing shots like that, and I thought it was fitting that Aegon goes down and handles I believe his blood in probably the only way he should be handled. So
Absolutely.
Boy, blood and cheese didn't last very long, did they?
No, they didn't.
People are going to call this a slow episode, but this episode's seen the end of Blood and Cheese and Eric and Arik, pardon me.
Yeah.
So 4 very well-known lore characters done just like that. Very Game of Thronesy. So, I didn't really look at it like that until right now. Man, so I'll let Jade talk about it when she comes on, but being we're in our House Green spoiler review right now, you wanted to bring something up that I know she's going to bring up later in the show, of what you thought might happen. And to be honest, I didn't think it was going to happen. And then, the wheel gets caught, and I'm just like, oh no.
It came so damn close, and I wish they had done it. This is probably the one gripe I would have with the whole show, is at one point the procession gets caught in the mud or some sort of a pothole or something to that effect, and everybody stops, and it gives time for the commoners to get right up on them and make them super uncomfortable and claustrophobic. And all the while, the guards are trying to get the hearse, more or less, lack of a better term, trying to get it over the hump, get it out of the mud. And you see that, like, when they heave, there's just this little rattle that takes place. And because Jaehaerys's head was severed, it's just kind of resting there right on the hearse, like kind of touching the neck. And that little wiggle made you think, oh my God, is it going to fall? And it didn't. And that's my gripe. I wish it had. I know that sounds fucked up, but I wish that it had, because it would have been a frenzy of common folk trying to get the closest to royalty that they've ever been. Like, they're nearly touching Queen Alicent, but if that head falls, there's going to be somebody from Flea Bottom that actually touched the body of royalty. And that'll be something that they take to their graves. Could be sooner than later, but it would be something that they take to their graves. And to see that disgrace befall them during a time of mourning would have just been such a Game of Thrones move. And I'm so bummed that they missed that opportunity. But that whole scene is just, it's so powerful because they use so few words. But some of the words that they do use, the Herald calls Rhaenyra a kinslayer. They call her Rhaenyra the cruel, the defiler of the innocent, the pretender to the throne. Like, Otto is pulling out all the stops, scripting these words for the Herald in order to sway the people to Team Green's cause. And for a little while there, it looks like it's working.
Yeah, for a little while. For part 2 of our Team Green review, or parts 1 and 2 of our Team Black review, check out our most recent uploads or check out our House of the Dragon Season 2 review playlist. For extended episodes of House of the Empire, check us out on all podcatchers. And for full episodes of House of the Empire, which include an extra segment, check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/fandomempire. And we'll see you next time when the Empire calls.
Do you know what legacy means?
It's what you pass down to your children and your children's children. It's what remains of you when you're gone.